Good morning and welcome back to Live at the Legislature, where every week in this segment we speak to representatives and senators from the minority side to discuss issues going through the state capitol. Our guest today is Representative Bob McDermott. He serves House District 40, which encompasses Eva Beach, and serves on the committees on finance, housing, interstate commerce, public safety, and veterans and military affairs. Representative McDermott, good morning.
Thank you, Kyle. Great to be with you this morning.
So today we're going to talk about education and teachers' pay raises. So before I guess I go to the specifics of that, you have 8 kids, and they are all either alumni of or currently in a DOE school, correct?
That's correct.
And so as a father, what's your assessment of the state education system?
Well, I think it's like anything, right? You get out of it what you put into it. So you have great parents who are very interactive with the students and the teachers. You see it particularly at the elementary schools across the board. They have an open house or a parent-teacher night. The place is packed. When you get to high school, not so much, right? The kids are older. They've kind of figured out what they want to do or what they don't want to do, and the parents have kind of launched them at that point. So like anything else, you get out of it what you put into it. So you can have a great school, but if the child and the parent aren't interested, it doesn't matter. Conversely, you can have a crappy school, but if the child and parent really work it, they can get as much out of there as you can at a great school. So that's the answer to that.
And one of the biggest things, this is now the 3rd year that the state has, or the legislature has tried to find a funding mechanism for education. 2 years ago it was the CONAM, last year it was the GET increase, and then this year we have HB 2671, which it would be a constitutional amendment to allow the Board of Education to levy a property tax along with the counties. And so you're also a realtor when you're not in the legislature. So what's your assessment on this year's proposal, and how do you think that's going to affect?
Well, I'll tell you what. So let's go back a couple years. When they first came up with the proposal, this was kind of same-sex marriage was removed a couple years, and so during that period, I was saying, let the people decide. Let the people decide. Any government that empowers the people is a better government. Government closer to the people and their voice. So I voted for the amendment to proceed to let the people have a choice on it. It ended up getting killed in the courts, and they never had a choice on it. But in that time frame, that process between the time the session ended and the ultimate court hearings, the public certainly spoke to me anyway, and they said, we don't want this. No way. And so we are far enough removed from the same-sex marriage issue, and my experience from that last iteration tells me I'm not going to vote for this. Now, you could characterize it as voting against teachers, but nobody's against teachers. Teachers are mom and apple pie. Everybody loves their teachers. How do we get them more money? That's the question. Is this vehicle the right way to do it? No. And if you just look at it, it's, allow the Board of Education, follow me for a minute, allow the Board of Education to set tax rates and tax policy to raise money from the schools, for the schools. Can you name one person on the Board of Education? Because I sure can't. And I work down here. I don't know who they are. And they're going to tell me how much taxes I got to pay? There's no way. And aside from that, there's no enabling legislation that's accompanying this measure that I can see, which means how much of this new money would go to teacher salary? Would it supplement or supplant? Meaning, we raise $100 million from this new tax, and that goes to the budget. Well, we're just going to back out our $100 million contribution we made last year, and we're going to spend it on homeless. So we raised the taxes, they got more money, but we pulled back our baseline commitment. So in there, in what you'd have enabling legislation, you would have a baseline commitment, say it has to be the rolling average of the last 3 years that was spent on teacher salaries must be spent moving forward in perpetuity along with this supplement. Otherwise, trust me, we'll take it out. $100 million? Okay, we'll give them 75 to say, look, we gave you 75 while we took 25 for ourselves and our pet projects. That's the way we do it down here. The bill will ultimately fail. It'll fail either at the ballot box when the people vote on it, or it may not end up getting out of here. I think the Senate's probably inclined to vote for it, but I think the House, you're going to have some people. Last time it passed unanimously through the House of Representatives, 51 yeses, because you were letting the people decide. We've gotten enough feedback. I believe that I'm going to cast a no vote on it.
Now, this is something that everyone in the legislature is concerned about: cost of living, and the minority takes a specific stance, certainly against new taxes and fees. And you also sit on the Committee on Finance, and if I'm not mistaken, the numbers are about $10.5 million short for teachers this year, and then roughly $26 million the next year. Is this, if we raise property taxes and we also offset with a minimum wage or other tax incentives, is this a concern that it raises cost of living more for your constituents?
So, well, any new tax would, yes. When you talk about budget numbers this early on, I'm not really that concerned about it. As Frank Fossey said, liars can figure and figures can lie. So you can put up any set of numbers you want to paint any picture you want, and quite often in politics that's done. We have a good finance chair, Sylvia Luke. She's honest, straightforward. I trust her. I guess that's not a popular thing for a Republican to say, but I've watched her in action, and she's fair, and that's all I can ask for. She has not penalized our district. Matter of fact, we have a new building at Campbell High School, $40 million. So, and that's set to open any moment, actually. So I am happy with the job that she's doing. But you asked about new legislation for a new tax, and I don't support that. And you see the surveys, people are leaving Hawaii for the first time in our history. People are actually a net decrease in the number of folks migrating versus immigrating.
So is this something, there were threats, I think it was a Civil Beat article that mentions there would be cuts to bus services, IT, and other benefits. Or is this something that you're worried about sitting in the committee, or do you believe that there will be some sort of mechanism to fund the DOE and teachers' pay?
The teachers will have enough money, everything will get funded. We hear this every year, right? But one of the things I don't like is when they say, well, teachers, compared to the rest of the mainland, they're paid below average. We have to understand we work in Hawaii. We live in Hawaii. All wages are below average because that's the price of paradise. People will come and live here and work for less. They'll work for less so they can live here. And so when the union leadership comes out and say, well, compared to Arkansas, they're well underpaid. Well, yeah, but compare our doctors and any other profession, and it's the same deal. Compare to the cost of living, and you can't do that. It's not a fair comparison to make, because we all pay the price of paradise, which is lower wages for living here.
Right. Well, it looks like we're just out of time.
I can't believe it.
Representative McDermott, thank you for joining us this morning.
This goes a lot faster to those Democrats. I mean, those guys were literally putting me to sleep. You heard me snoring.
We'll have to have you next week to continue the conversation. Viewers at home, thank you for joining us. Be sure to follow us on High House GOP on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And we'll see you next week.
Okay.